Hi Stampers, this is Amy Whelan. Thank you so much for joining me today at Amy's Inklings. Today I wanted to show you how to make this adorable Toad Curvy Keepsake box. So come join me. Alright, today we're going to be using Your Sublime. And the stamp we're using is this little toad. I keep calling him a frog, but clearly he's a toad because the greeting says totally awesome. That's what we're going to be using. So I have some Whisper White cardstock. The first time I want to stamp this, I don't want the totally awesome to show. So I'm just going to cover it up with some Scotch tape. And I'm going to use our archival basic black ink pad. I'm going to remove the tape. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp him. Then I'm going to stamp him again, the full thing, because I need the greeting separate. And that'll be evident why a little bit later. Okay, so the toad is punched out with the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. And I tried to do the 2-inch punch, but it was just too big for the side of the Curvy Keepsake box, so I think this works just fine. Then the greeting on this one I'm going to do with our word window punch. Mine's a very old punch. They don't look like this anymore, but this one works fine, so I haven't replaced it. Notice I'm leaving a lot of extra room on that side, and that was intentional. So I'm going to punch that out, and we're ready to go. Now what I did here to save a little time is I went ahead and I colored him, and I used markers. I used the Wild Wasabi green to do the base of the toad. Then I used Pear Pizzazz to do his little warts or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's worth noting that I then used our soft sky marker and I outlined the image, and I don't know why that works, but it does. Someone taught me that trick a while back, and I just think it really helps the image pop. So that's how I did that. Alright, so now that the stamping is done, we're going to go ahead and make the box with the Curvy Keepsake die. Now you have to cut out or run this through your Big Shot 2 times. This one has already been done, and in fact I've also put it through the Big Shot using our Decorative Dots embossing folder right here. Okay, just to save a little time. So we're going to do that too on the other side. But for right now, I just wanted you to see what it looks like when it comes off the Big Shot, because these dies work beautifully. And you just take that off. Excuse my sniffles. My allergies are bothering me today. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and run this through the Big Shot again using the embossing folder. And it's very important to know that if you run it through the first side in that direction, the second side has to be run through the Big Shot in the embossing folder in the same direction, because you want the dots to poke out all over the box, and I'll show you why. I didn't do that the first time. See how the dots are poking out here? That's what I like. But I must have flopped the cardstock on the other side, and now the dots are going in. Probably no one would actually notice that except for me. So just make sure that when you run both pieces through the embossing folder for the decorative dots, that you run them going in the same direction. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and it's also worth noting that this piece of cardstock is not going to totally fit in the embossing folder, but it's most important to have this area and this area embossed. So I'm just going to go ahead and close it in like that. And I'm going to send it through, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here we go. I just ran it through, and now it has a bunch of dots on it too that pokey out. Love it. And let's see. Let's go ahead and score that one and get that one ready to be put together. And see, that was the wrong one. Yeah, there we go. So the two pieces are put together like that. So let me use some Tombow glue. Oh, it looks like I already had some on there. And that's how your box is constructed. You put these two together. Yep, you put these two together first. These come down over it. And this is an adorable box. I'm going to show you later how to use this at a different post with vellum to make luminaries. Oops, that's got to pop out. Let me adjust that. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't score, or rather fold on that score line, so now it's poking out. And that really is a very simple way to make this cute little box. So the box is done. Now we need to put it all together. Now, oh, I can actually go ahead and do the ribbon. I have a piece of Whisper White satin ribbon. I love this ribbon. It ties beautifully, and we're just going to make a simple little bow like that. And I'll cut off the excess with our lovely Stampin' Up! Craft scissors. Now the box is done. Oops, I'll go ahead and trim that a little bit more. Alright, now I wanted to show you a trick. If you look at this box closely, you'll see, if you can in this light, it's got a sheen to it. This one is flat. That one has a sheen. You might be able to see a difference in the camera. I wanted this to look really shiny and dark and lovely, so we're going to actually emboss this with clear embossing powder. So what I did was I took out my Versamark pad. So here's my Versamark pad, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this image and totally smush it down into the pad. I want the entire surface inked up with Versamark. Okay. Next, I'm going to take our clear embossing powder and I'm going to run it through the embossing powder to get completely covered. And then you kind of have to be careful and run it through where your fingertips were. And then you heat it with our heat tool, okay? And you'll see the magic of it turning shiny. Isn't that beautiful? Do you see how the color popped up, became darker, and the sheen is just beautiful. Alright, so now that this is done, let's go ahead and put everything together. I'm going to use a Stampin' Dimensional on the back, and we're going to snuggle him right there. Okay? And then the greeting that we punched out with the word window, here it is, I lost it for a moment. You then simply tuck it inside the ribbon, like that. There we go. And that's why you needed extra white space on the left-hand side, so there was room for you to tuck that in. And that's it. I'm going to have to fiddle with that ribbon, but you get the idea. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me today at Amy's Inklings. It was fun making this with you today. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Consultant, I would love to set you up. I can send you some catalogs and would love to be of help in order to get you the Stampin' Up! Supplies that you would like. Just email me at amysinklings@gmail.com. Thanks again for joining me. Bye-bye.